Yo guys, what's up? And it's X here back with the part 2 to the amazing series of What if Deku learned the Water Stream Rock Smashing Fist? So guys, in the last part I asked you guys to give me some ships, and since nobody really gave me any ships, I decided to pick my own, and you guys will find out who it is later on. But with that out of the way, let's get into this quick recap. Okay guys, so in the last part I went over Deku's life growing up and how he learned the Water Stream Rock Smashing Fist, and I also went over how he met All Might as well as the 10-month training arc. And I had left off with Deku basically getting ready to start the entrance exam. So like usual, Deku goes to UA and his mom tells him good luck, and he basically gets to the front of the gate, and when when suddenly we're gonna switch perspectives over to Bakugo. Bakugo sees Deku and from behind him and says, "Hey Deku, is that you?" Deku then turns around wearing a white shirt, some black track pants, and white shoes. He sees Bakugo and says, "Oh, it's you. Hey, Kachan, long time no see." Bakugo then sees Deku and says, "What happened to you?" Deku then says, "Oh, I went to train with my grandpa for the last 10 years. I've been learning martial arts." Bakugo then smiles and says, "So did you ever get a quirk?" Deku then smiles and says, "You'll see." Bakugo then just and says, "Well, I'm still gonna beat you and become number one." Deku then grins and says, "Oh, really? Then I guess you're gonna be my rival. We'll just have to see." They then go inside, and no, Deku won't be meeting Uraraka because he won't trip this time. And for the written exam, he actually does very well, getting the perfect score on the written exam. And he doesn't get called out by Ida since he doesn't mutter. After that, the combat portion starts, and shortly after that, Deku will be at the front of the gate. And a little after, President Mike will then tell them to go. And when Deku basically shoots off using 20% of One For All as to test it on how it would perform in combat against anybody but All Might, you know? Deku basically runs through any and every robot that gets in his way, as well as helps other people and shows off his fighting style and annihilates robots towards the end. And towards the end, he basically ended up destroying about 200 robots and got 478 combat points. When suddenly he hears a loud noise, followed with people running away, and that's when he sees the robot about to crush a girl that we all know as a Raraka. After he sees this, he jumps off, leaving a huge crater, and delivers his new move, the Water Stream 64 Palm Strike. Shout out to you, whoever commented it. And sends the giant zero-pointer flyer and flying and crashing into the ground. As it falls, Deku then jumps off of the robot and lands in front of Uraraka, and then takes the rubble off of her legs and smiles at her, asking her if she's fine. And she starts blushing and tells him that she thinks she might have hurt her leg a little bit. When Deku then picks her up and takes her to Recovery Girl before wishing her good luck and telling her that he hopes she passed. After that, Deku basically goes home and tells his mom he's pretty sure he passed and basically trains some more. After a while, his letter finally comes in and he's told he's gotten the highest scores ever and that he'll be put into Class 1A. And after that, he basically tells his mom and they celebrate and go out to eat, some usual stuff. After that, Deku will basically pull up and look for his class. And as to what class and as to what and as to what he looks like, just kind of picture like a Garo, Deku looking kind of person in a UA like uniform. So he walks in and sees Bakugo and Ida arguing. He doesn't really pay much attention to it and just goes to sit down, but as he does it, Uraraka then comes up behind him and tells him that she recognizes her anywhere and thanks him for saving her, and sits next to Deku, and they talk for a little bit, and she basically thanks him for saving her, and they talk for a little bit, and he tells her that it's no problem and then suddenly she asks for his quirk, and right as he's about to say what his quirk is, Aizawa then gets up and says, "It took you guys 8 seconds to get quiet." He then tells them to change into their uniforms, and Deku then walks out with Bakugo and Ida following. They then go change, and the other guys comment on how ripped Deku is. Keep in mind, he's as ripped as Garo. And they all ask how he did it, and Deku just says, trained for 10 years, laughing, which kind of intimidates the other students. They then go outside, and Aizawa basically tells Deku that he asked Deku, what's the farthest he's ever thrown a ball? And Deku says 200 meters. And Aizawa says, without your quirk. And Deku says, yeah, without it. Everyone's just amazed, thinking, how strong is this kid? Aizawa then tells Deku to throw the ball as hard as he can. And Deku goes up and throws the ball full force and gets 10,000 meters, which shocks everybody. And then and some say how awesome it is and how fun it'll be to use their quirks. And that's when Aizawa does his fun. Alright, whoever gets last place will be expelled. After that, things get a little serious, and at the end of the test, Deku basically ended up getting first place in everything, except for the ball throw. All the other students get the same exact scores, and that's when Bakugo rushes Deku saying, "How'd you get so strong?" Deku then blocks Bakugo's attack and hit him with a strike to the back, knocking him down, and then put his arm in a arm lock and told him to calm down. Bakugo can't use his explosions because Aizawa was using his quirk on him, and Aizawa then tells Deku to get off of him. After that, Aizawa basically tells Bakugo that if he does that again, he'll be expelled. Bakugo then calms down and looks at Deku and says, and Bakugo then calms down and Deku looks at Bakugo and says, "If you want to talk, meet me after school." They then just go their separate ways, and after that school ends, Deku then ends up meeting up with Bakugo, and Bakugo basically says, "So Deku, how'd you get so strong?" Deku then looks at him and says, "Well, I've got a strength quirk that developed shortly after I left, and I've been training my body to its limits for 10 years, and I learned martial arts." And Bakugo then scoffs and said, "There's no way you got that strong just with martial arts and a strength quirk." And Deku then says, "Oh, it doesn't matter. Well, I bet I've trained at least 100 times harder than you in these past 10 years. And Bakugo gets a little mad, and then he says, "It doesn't matter how strong you are now, that he'll surpass him and he's gonna be number one." Deku then smiles and says good luck to Bakugo and tells him that he should work on his body and as well as some martial arts. After that, they basically go their separate ways, and I'm just gonna skip all the way to the heroes versus villains arc. Okay, guys, so like usual, All Might comes in saying, "I am here like a normal person," and then tells the students that they'll be doing some combat training and to suit up. After that, they'll all go to suit up, and everyone's costume except for Deku's will be the same. And with that, okay, guys, so yeah, just picture Garo's outfit, and all the clothes will be weighted. Now, I'm not going to tell you guys how much weight I want to put on the clothes, but when I tell you guys, you will be shocked. So just think of like a more modern look to Garo's outfit, basically, with like weights on them. It's like super weighted clothing. But yeah, but anyways, with that out of the way, Deku will be paired up with Uraraka versus Bakugo and Ida. So like in canon, he'll talk with her and tell her to basically stay close to him as she's gonna be the one to get the bomb. After that, the match starts, and like usual, Bakugo comes rushing in, but not angry like he was in canon due to like thinking that Deku lied to him. More like just angry like his usual self and thinking he's gonna beat him and just rushing into battle blindly. After that, a little time goes by and Deku tells Uraraka to hide and tells her that he'll handle him. Shortly after, Bakugo comes in rushing and yelling at Deku saying, "I'm gonna crush you, Deku!" And as soon as he comes in, he throws a right hook, which Deku dodges and after ducking it, delivers a heavy palm to Bakugo's chest that knocks the breath out of him. And right after, spin kicks him to the ground. Bakugo then lays there and acts like he's down when suddenly he jumps up and says, "Deku, dodge this!" He then pulls the pin to one of his gauntlets and the explosion then goes off, exploding a bit of the building. When suddenly Deku flicks with a 60% one for all like smash/flick, sending the explosion right back at Bakugo and sending him flying back and making him go unconscious. Deku then goes to Uraraka and they both go to approach Ida, and then they open the door, but when they do that, Ida comes in throwing a kick, but Deku dodges it and grabs his leg and throws him into the wall. That makes Ida mad, and then Deku says, "So you're fast," and then smiles and says, "Let's see you keep up with me." He then uses 5% of One For All and starts blitzing Ida, going even faster than he can and delivering palms until Ida basically fell to his knees and said, "He's too fast." He then passes out, and right after that, Uraraka grabs a bomb and it's announced that the hero team won. After that, Uraraka basically tells Deku that he's awesome and they end up going home together. The next weeks go by, and like usual, the day of the USJ attack comes. The kids are in the bus, and this time Deku's basically just going to be in the back of the bus, chilling with Uraraka until they get there, and once they arrive, Deku basically feels some bad aura coming off of there. He then warns Aizawa, but Aizawa tells Deku that he's probably just on edge, and that they'll go in anyways, and after that, Black Hole gives her speech when, out of nowhere, villains start coming out of out of portals, and Deku then tells Ida to go get All Might. But then Kurogiri comes in, and right as that happens, Deku flicks Kurogiri, sending him flying, creating a gust of wind. And Deku then turns and says, "I'll hold him off. You guys run, and anybody with quirks that can fight, help out too." Then Kirishima comes in, and Bakugo and Todoroki, basically all the people who you would expect to like go fight villains, come rushing in to help Deku. And Aizawa doesn't even have any time to be like, "No, stay back," because Deku and the others just kind of jump off. And that's when Deku basically tells Bakugo to handle the purple warp, and the purple warp guy and jumps to start leading everybody. And in this version, all the students will start by taking out some villains and working together. And Deku's basically leading them all, helping some of them out and making them all work as one unit to take out as many villains as possible. And after a couple of minutes, they had taken out almost all of the villains, and with the help of Aizawa, of course. And Aizawa was just sitting there shocked, thinking this kid just led a freshman class, to beat over 100 villains in mere minutes. Shortly after that, Shigaraki gets mad and starts freaking out, saying, "It isn't fair." Then he tells the Nomu to come kill that boy. The Nomu then rushes Deku and tries to hit him, but right after, Deku says, "I don't have time for you," and throws a 60% punch straight at it, sending the Nomu flying. And after that, Deku looks at Shigaraki and cracks his neck and starts slowly walking towards him, saying, "So you're the little leader." He then smiles and says, "I'm gonna destroy you for this." Shigaraki then steps back in fear and then rushes Deku, trying to grab onto him or decay him. But right as that happens, Deku blitzes Shigaraki and hits him in the ribs, breaking a couple, sending him flying, crashing into a crater. After that, Deku turns and runs and starts beating on Shigaraki, breaking bones and making him bleed quite a bit, going a little too far, but in Deku's eyes, he deserves it. When out of nowhere, Kurogiri gets free of Bakugo, and then he teleports away and grabs Shigaraki as fast as he possibly could. And in that mere instant, Deku got distracted, so they were able to get away. Deku then hits the ground and screams, "Damn it! I shouldn't have toyed with him." After that, Deku goes to check on everybody and asks if they're all okay. And right as he does that, All Might comes in and sees that Deku handled them all, and he smiles, thinking, "I made a great choice picking him as my successor." He then goes to help Deku with taking villains out of the USJ and taking them to the police, as well as praise him a bit. In that incident, nobody ended up getting hurt, and everything goes towards Canon with the cleanup. And after, Aizawa basically tells Deku that it was a little wrong to do what he did, but that he had great leadership skills, and that under normal circumstances he would have been expelled, but he handled it so well, and because of him, like, he kept everybody safe. And he basically told Deku that he's a little too strong for his age, and praised him a little bit, as well as, so Deku's basically going to be cool with Aizawa now. And yeah, I think that's where I'm going to wrap it up for today, guys. I went over the UA entrance exam, as well as the little test, as well as the USJ arc, and the heroes versus villains. So I think that's a pretty good place to leave it off. So I made this part instead of the others because, well, I'm just going to say it. I mean, not a lot of people saw the video, and from the most part, everybody was mostly inclined to watching What If Deku Learned the Water Stream Rock Smashing Fist. But with that out of the way, this is going to be part 2. And with that, say it with me. Oh, wait, no, I forgot. So that's where I'm going to wrap it off, obviously. And if you liked it, remember to leave a comment, subscribe, leave a like. But with that, for real this time, Zether out.